Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, and today we are continuing our Let's Talk Lore series covering the Nanman expedition with episode 1 titled Zhuge Liang Marches South. For those of you who have missed our prologue episode, I highly recommend you to go back to that one first to catch up with the story so far in the Three Kingdoms period leading up to this point. For the rest of you, let us continue, keeping in mind that this story will be from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms novel, and that we will go over all the historical differences at the end of this series. So, the year is 225, and Zhuge Liang has been the prime minister of Shu Han for over a year under the rule of Liu Shan, who took over following his father Liu Bei's death. The young emperor, much like his late father, trusted Zhuge Liang and left all matters of the kingdom to the shrewd prime minister. And Zhuge Liang did not disappoint, as he labored over matters big and small to help rebuild the Shu Han forces following their devastating defeat at the hands of the Wu forces. And the year of peace in 224, as well as a bountiful harvest, did a lot of good for the army and the citizens of Shu Han, as morale recovered and the people prospered. But good times do not last long, as news arrived that the Nanman king Meng Huo had rallied 100,000 tribal warriors to raid the land of Yunnan in the southern parts of the kingdom. And to make matters worse, the neighboring administrator of Jianning Commandery, Yongkai, has thrown his lot in with the Nanman forces as well, as he too joined the rebellion. And as these rebels moved north, Yue Xi's administrator Gao Ding and Zhang Ke's administrator Zhu Bao both surrendered their commanderies without putting up any fight, while Yongchang, the southernmost commandery in the kingdom, led by its administrator Wang Kang, decided to resist, as he rallied the citizens of the commandery to defend the city to the very last man. And it was he who sent words to the capital Chengdu to inform the prime minister of the rebellion. And once this news arrived, Zhuge Liang rushed to the imperial court to meet with the young emperor Liu Shan to inform him of the rebels in the south. Liu Shan asked the prime minister about his plans to dealing with the rebels, and Zhuge Liang replies that he wants to personally lead an expedition south to not only defeat these rebels on the battlefield, but also defeat their desire to rebel in the future, as Shu Han's ultimate ambition is to restore the Han dynasty by attacking out of the Shu region and back into the Central Plains. They must ensure that their backyard in the south will not cause any issues in the future. Hearing this, Liu Shan is concerned and asks the prime minister, if you are to personally lead the army south, what happens if, say, Cao Pi attacks us from the north, or Sun Quan attacks us from the east? To this, Zhuge Liang replies, our peace talks with Sun Quan have yielded genuine results. He should not go back on his words, and if he does, I have left Li Yan, who I believe is smart enough to match Lu Xun's wits, with a sizable force in Baidi city to the east to hold back any Wu forces that might attack us. And to the north, Ma Chao and his men defends the mountain checkpoints in Hanzhong. And for added security, I also plan to leave Guanxing, who is Guan Yu's second son, and Zhang Bao, who is Zhang Fei's eldest son, in charge of the central forces, who shall remain here in Chengdu with your majesty as a reserve force that can help either fronts in case the enemy strikes while I am still in the south. But I predict Sun Quan will indeed honor our peace deal, and the last defeat in Jiangling by Cao Pi's forces should have dampened the Wei's morale and discouraged the Wei forces from launching any fresh campaigns into Hanzhong. So I'm confident that you shall be safe here in the capital, and I promise that I will bring a swift end to the rebellion in the south, and then we can resume your late father's ambitions to restore the Han by launching our own northern expeditions out of the mountains of Hanzhong and back into the Central Plains. Only then can I repay the honor your late father bestowed on me with his 3 visits and his trust in making me the regent to your rule. Liu Shan nods and humbly says, I am still young, and I trust the Prime Minister had the best interest of the kingdom in mind, so I will defer the final decision to whatever the Prime Minister feel is best. But right then, a dissenting voice rose from the court as Wang Lian, who was the Secretary General for the Prime Minister's office at the time, stepped out to beg the Prime Minister to reconsider. Now, Wang Lian, who is relatively unknown to most Three Kingdom fans, is actually quite the civil servant. He was originally from the Nanyang Commandery, but have long served the Shu region, dating back even to the days of Liu Yan. And when Liu Bei first took over the Shu region, he had at first refused to serve out of loyalty to Liu Yan's family. But his loyalty also earned him the respect of Liu Bei, who insisted that he needs to put his talents at work for the people of the Shuba region, and named him as the Minister of Iron and Salt, which was a key government post in charge of the production, distribution, and taxation on iron and salt, which are two of the most vital raw materials in the functioning of any kingdom. And in this post, Wang Lian thrived as tax revenues ballooned and the economy prospered. And after a series of promotions, he is now Zhuge Liang's left-hand man in the Prime Minister office. However, on this matter of the Nanman expedition, Wang Lian did not see eye to eye with the Prime Minister. Wang Lian argues, the southern lands are a jungle-infested territory, plagued with marshes and disease. The people there are savages compared to us and uncultured. Their rebellion is a mere flesh wound on the kingdom, with no major impact to the well-being of the kingdom's economy. All it would require to bring them down is a skilled general and a strong show of force. There is no need for the Prime Minister, who is so vital to the well-being of Shu Han, to risk his own life and thus the kingdom's life to venture south into these primitive rainforests to deal with these savages. Zhuge Liang retorts, indeed, the Nanman territories are on the fringes of our kingdom, and indeed their way of life is vastly different from ours. But this is also the reason why I must lead the expedition myself to the south, as I can be the judge in every situation, and to use force when necessary, as well as to show mercy when a gentle touch is needed. This is not something I can delegate away. So enough of this talk. My mind is made up, and I will personally lead our forces south for this expedition. So when the day finally came, Zhuge Liang picked out Zhao Yun and Wei Yan as his two commanding generals, and the mighty Shu Han army, numbering 500,000 strong, marched south toward the swamps and rainforests of the Nanman lands. And aside from these two well-known generals, the rest of the officer corps consisted of Jiang Wan as the chief strategist of the army, Fei Hui as the secretary general, with Dong Jue and Fan Jian as the secretaries working under him, and the commanding generals were Zhao Yun and Wei Yan as we mentioned earlier, and the lieutenants that served under them were Wang Ping and Zhang Yi. And finally, the vanguard of the armed forces was led by Guan Suo, who was the third son of Guan Yu, and the only survivor from Guan Yu's escape attempt from Jinzhou. Now, while many of these names are quite unfamiliar, some of these officers will end up playing huge roles in the governance of Shu Han in the later periods of the Three Kingdoms. In particular, both Jiang Wan and Fei Hui, who takes key roles as the chief strategist and secretary general, will eventually become prime ministers of the Shu Han after Zhuge Liang's death. And even lieutenants like Wang Ping and Zhang Yi will also end up playing critical roles in later northern expeditions as more and more of the older generations of generals grow old and pass away. And with this group picked out, Zhuge Liang finally marches south, and awaiting them are the combined forces of the three surrendered administrators in Gaoding, Yongkai, and Zhubao. So come back next time to see how Zhuge Liang cleverly deals with these three traitors in episode 2 of our Nanman expedition series titled Zhuge Liang the Trickster. And once again, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye!